I'll introduce myself again. This is Andrew Weinstein with CrossFit. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And we have 30 minutes to talk to the athletes about the past 2 days events, and to Dave as well about them. If if you have any questions, please raise your hands using the Zoom button. We're using the raise hand button on your screen, and we will try and take as many of the questions as possible. And I will go on mute in the interim so that we get started. The first question today is—
Sorry, can we just mute everyone because I can't hear very well?
Yeah, okay, so why don't we mute unless you're talking, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
All the participants, just so you know, all the attendees are muted automatically unless I turn on their volume. So it's just the panelists who may be getting a little feedback. We're going to start with John Newby of CBS Interactive. John, your line should be open. John, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
All right. This question is for Carrie. How did that Happy Star comeback mean after the missed rep and the snatch speed event? And did it set you up for a strong finish tomorrow?
I mean, the miss and the snatch event, I feel like things happen to everybody. So it's a close race in the game. So you just have to forget what happens and just move on to the next event and look ahead. And I think each of us are ready to just put our best foot forward in the final day.
Perfect. Thank you.
The next question is from Fabio Broco with Hugo Cross in Brazil.
Hi, it's to Haley Adams. You're the one athlete who was successful both as a teenager and as an elite athlete. What do you think differentiates you from the other teams that also made great names for themselves but did not make the transition? Also, I'd like to say that you did a great job last year, but we noticed you've really brought out your game face this year. What's different for you?
Yeah, so, I mean, I had a pretty good background coming into CrossFit, so I think that's why I got good so fast and just had most of the athletic ability that comes with being an elite athlete. But yeah, this year I just know that I earned my spot and that I belong to be in the top 5, and it wasn't just a fluke. So I tried to, have that confidence this year and show it.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Emily Beers with Morning Chalk Up. Oh, 1 second, Emily, sorry. You should be free to talk now.
I'm good?
Yep.
Cool. Nice job today. And just curious, considering the format, it's still mathematically and realistically safe to say that any one of you still has a chance to be on the podium, which is pretty rare for a competition like this, that entering day 3, you all still have that shot. So how exciting or nerve-wracking is it to be a part of a competition like that? And how does it kind of change the feel on the competition floor, if at all? So anyone who wants to take that one.
I'll go ahead and talk on that. I think it's just cool because each event you have to just focus on the task at hand. You can't really get ahead of yourself, and just going into each event, me and my coach are like, just do the best that you can in this event. Don't worry about what's going to come later on. The standings are constantly changing. So just going into each event with a fresh mind and giving it your best, I think is what's really cool about the format this year. And like you said, how close the race is.
Anyone else want to respond? All right. Turning to Tommy Marquez. Your mic is on.
Thanks. This question is for Katrin. Just kind of checking in on the hardest games ever moniker. On the first press conference, you said, I hope he means it. How does the body feel after 2 days, and how does it kind of stack up to how you felt after past, games experiences, whether it's Fibonacci in 2018 or even way back in 2012 when you had to go to Pendleton?
I'll wait to answer the hardest games ever when we're done, because I never count Dave Castro out, and he has talked about the final, and there's a full day left. So I am very excited about that. I'm feeling good, and I think there's a big difference between me now and me in 2012 and 2013 when I really wasn't used to training this volume. So I was definitely a lot more sore then, wasn't used to it all. And now I kind of thrive in the situations when it gets hard. So I definitely I agree with him. Yesterday was probably the hardest day one. And event 5 was definitely one of the hardest workouts that I have ever done. And I am excited to see what we have in store tomorrow. And I hope that he means it, and I hope it's going to be a really, really challenging day. Yeah, I'm ready to fight during that.
Great, thank you. Over to Ben Garvez with Barbend. Ben, your line should be open.
Hi, Ben Garvez with Barbend. Question is for Dave Castro. Dave, the hill is obviously being pretty heavily featured this year. What's your decision-making process look like when it comes to finding the right balance, when it comes to either too much, too little, or just the right amount of that hill?
It's something you have to take into consideration for sure when programming the event, but the dosage you've seen so far of the hill has been appropriate because the demands, the stimulus have been 3 very unique and different inclusions of that hill. Meaning the first was a very long run, right? And the second, actually the first was a hill sprint with the corn sack, and the second was a very long run. And now both of those are running events, but they're very different tests, and they're very different tests of running ability. Just because you can run long distance doesn't necessarily mean you can carry a corn sack up the hill quickly. So they're different, they're testing different things. And then obviously this inclusion today, this afternoon, of the hill was a very, it was in a CrossFit workout. So it was more of a pure CrossFit test, a triplet. Think of a workout like Helen or some of the classic benchmarks that have monostructural weightlifting and gymnastics combinations. It was kind of themed like that, but instead of 3 rounds, we had 4 rounds. And what I was really excited about doing with this one, which I don't know if we've ever done at the games, and you don't see that often in general, is having runs of different length each time. I'm sorry, different length and different course each time. And so, you know, when we do Helen, we run the 400 around the same lap every time, for all 3 rounds. Here you had 4 different hills or 4 different routes up a hill of varying degrees of difficulty and actually length. And I have no idea what the length was. We didn't, we just said, okay, I just said, put something over there, put something there, put something there, and put something there. And that's kind of how we determined it. And through a lot of testing of the distances. But the amount we've included the hill 3 times right now out of so far 9 events, it's appropriate, and I have no issue with it, and especially because of the different expressions of that.
Thank you, Dave. And just a reminder to folks who are joining the call, who've joined since we started, if you'd like to ask a question, please click on the raise hand button, and we will try and take as many as possible. Over to Joe Genetin-Palawa with Morning Chalk Up. Joe, your line should be open.
Hi, can you hear me? Good. Thank you. So this question is for Tia. 2 days in, you're looking obviously very dialed in. Do you feel like the more subdued setup for the games has been conducive to your individual experience, competing, recovering, focusing, things like that?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, you know, each games brings its own challenge, and, you know, this is just like previous years, a fantastic challenge and competition that Dave and his team is providing for us athletes. And I wouldn't say that this has been any easier or yeah, like I think that it's been a fantastic competition so far. You know, I'm going up against such incredible athletes that you can't just switch off for a second, because either any one of them is going to take that opportunity when they get it. And so, you know, just like previous years, you need to make sure that you're staying focused, that you're attacking, and then, you know, you're giving it your absolute best in every single event, because anything can happen. And until that competition day is over, at the end of the day, at the end of the weekend, you know, you can't relax whatsoever. So, I mean, you know, this is what we live for, and I'm just so grateful that I have some incredible ladies to go up against, because I wouldn't want it any other way.
Great, thank you. Over to Sergio Sanchez, also with Hugo Cross in Brazil.
Hi, thank you. First of all, congratulations.
Sergio, we may have lost your line. Hold on, Lee. Sergio, try again, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, congratulations to all of you for these 2 days. My question is for Brooke Wells. Considers that there are only 5 athletes now in this final stage. The point scheme is very different. So there's a lot at risk, right? So do you change your strategy? Do you consider different strategies because of that? Like risking a lot or saving yourself? Or what do you think about this point scheme?
Yeah, I think the points being so different this year, definitely you have to take that into consideration when you're doing events like for example, like the last workout, I just went for it because I knew that like getting first place is so many more points than getting like a third or a fourth or whatever. You just kind of have to go for events because like winning it is so important. You get so many more points. It just makes a difference this year. And then if you look at like the trail run, it didn't start off great for me, and I kind of knew like going in, or like I knew like probably a halfway through of like the first lap that it just wasn't going to be a good event for me. So instead of trying to like kill myself for a better 5th place time, I just kind of ran my own race and didn't try to like exhaust myself too much, because I needed to save myself where I can, you know. But yeah, I think it's just kind of like you need to go for it when you can, and then if you see that you're in 5th place, there's no point of like killing yourself if you're in that situation.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, am I on? Great, awesome. This is Phil from Barbend. Just a question for all of you going into the final day of competition. Dave has said that Atalanta is going to be the toughest event thus far, but the details haven't been announced. So I'm curious to know if there's any particular movement or exercise in that event that you're hoping is there.
I'll say something. I hope we get some like cool odd objects, like something like a D-ball or anything like that. I think it's really fun part of the games getting like odd objects, especially like a grindy workout with some kind of weird apparatus is always pretty gross and fun.
Anyone else? All right, we're going to go to Justin LaFranco with Morning Chalk Up. The line should be open.
Hey, there we go. Hey, ladies. So kind of curious, there was a unique sort of aspect in the bike event where they had a bunch of fans that kind of just showed up randomly and they were just kind of hanging out like this was just kind of like an afternoon in the park. What was that like, kind of being there and finally, you know, having a few fans that just cheering you on and you know, making noise and just kind of doing that in comparison to how, you know, the previous events had been?
I'll speak on that one. One of the coolest things that I think like happened to me today was Tia and Brooke both finished the 185 barbell, and I failed mine. And I'd already taken third, and it's like I want to finish this workout and want to finish it like I would doing a normal speed ladder. And I kind of like gathered myself, and whenever you're in a speed ladder and there's like one athlete left, the crowd goes roaring. They go like insane, and you can't even feel your body. There's so much energy and adrenaline that goes with it. And now it is kind of weird. There's not music. There's no one there. But literally in my head, my family is roaring and they're screaming at the screen. So I kind of like, I can imagine that and I can feel that also. I know it's crazy that there are no fans, there is no music, but everyone's still there and everyone's still with us and everyone is still watching even though they're not present here. So this experience, it hasn't so far taken anything away from it. I love the fans, I love the adrenaline, but we've been here so many times before. And I know they're here with us. And it's kind of like, I can imagine them being here and I can still feel that.
Yeah, I think, you know, Kat makes a really good point. As much as in past years, the crowd really gets behind us in a lot of the events, particularly the speed ladders or the lifting, and then that short little turnaround point for our bike and having those people cheering us on. It was actually quite nice. But this year has definitely provided a different experience for us. And I think as an athlete, you're so focused on the job that you have to do at hand, and you're so focused on being present that you're not really thinking about the outside influences. Yes, you sometimes can really embrace that and use that to your advantage, but this year, there's a lot of cameras and hype behind it still, where like it's just been a unique experience, and it's definitely something that I've really enjoyed because it allows us and gives us more time in preparation, because we don't need to go from A to B and walk 20 minutes to the next station to get ready. It's only, you know, we're getting marshaled 5 minutes and then, you know, we're out on the floor. And so I think it's things like that, things that are happening in the background that as athletes, that has been something that I've really appreciated and really kind of enjoyed this year. Unfortunately, that means that, you know, we're sacrificing the fans' experience. But like Kat said, you know that everyone's watching through the TV and online, and you know that everyone's cheering, and you got the support. You know, I've been getting messages after messages of constant support, and that goes a long way. And I think that really helps us athletes know that we're not alone in this together. You know, we've got our support crew, we've got our people all over the world cheering us on. But yeah, this year has definitely been very different.
Great, thank you. Over to David Tao with Barbend. David, your line should be open.
Hey, Carrie, this question is actually for you. I know leg strength was something you worked a lot on the off season. It clearly paid off today with a very leg and squat and run heavy day. Is there anything after being 2 days into the CrossFit Games that maybe you wish you'd worked or focused a little bit more on, or anything that you're going to take away from this and focus more on in your training heading into next season?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a lot of squatting, a lot of weightlifting, technique stuff. Obviously, I need to continue to work on that after the snatch speed ladder, but everything's getting better and continuing to run more. I think my coach, we were talking, I need to get on a bike a little bit more for next year and just doing more outdoor things. And I've been doing some more hill runs in Vegas, but obviously if we're ever going to come back to the ranch, we need a lot more hills. So all that kind of stuff, I think will go a long way for training for the games next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. Over to Caro Kyleman with Box Rocks. Your line should be open.
Awesome, thank you. This question is for Haley. I was just wondering, with only being the 5 of you, and you finish really high in some workouts and then fit in some workouts, like, does that play with your mind at all? Obviously, like, you're the 5 fittest in the world at the moment. What is it like jumping up and down throughout workouts?
I mean, it's not fun getting fit, but also I know that I gave what I had at that moment, so I can't really be upset with that. I'm competing with the best 5 in the world, but I also had some good finishes, so I have to be happy about that and just keep fighting every workout.
Cool, thanks.
Great. Over to Arm & Hammer. Your line should be open.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I just wanted to ask a little bit about this intimate setting here. You know, you get to spend a lot of time with your competitors at the games regularly, and we haven't had a chance this year to really get a lot of in-person competition. But this is a really intimate setting where you guys are spending a lot of time near and with one another. Has that made it easier, more difficult to compete against one another? Do you kind of like read tells in your competitors a little bit easier now, or is it a little bit more friendly than it has been in the past?
I actually have really enjoyed it. I think that, you know, I remember back in the day when I didn't know anyone and it was a little intimidating. It was, you know, I guess I was a little timid. It's just daunting when you don't know anyone, no matter what it is. And then to meet people in a very intense situation, that also can be, you can just see sides of people that make you think, oh, okay, I didn't know, you know, you just don't really know. And after a few years of being able to get to know these girls in and out of competition and go on this journey of just trying to get better within ourselves as individuals. For me, having that experience and knowing these girls on more of an intimate level, it's actually really been an enjoyable thing. And I think that it really goes to show that we are out to push each other to the best of our abilities. And, you know, we are like-minded people and we're surrounded by good people as well. And that's something that I like to preach. You know, it's so important to surround yourself with really good people. And throughout this whole experience, like I was saying in one of the previous questions, that's another beauty about this whole experience. Yes, it's doesn't have the fans and, you know, the big lights and everything like past years, but it has been a lot more intimate. And for us athletes, we've been able to joke around with our judges and get to know them on a more personal level. And also with the team that are running this event, it's allowed us to have a few more jokes too, because even though it's very stressful and intense time, we've had a lot more time to just come together and really embrace the journey. And after such a just shitty year, it's really great that we can actually all come together and do this and do it together.
Great, thank you. Kay, I don't mean to mispronounce your last name. If it's Weiss or Weiss with Morning Chalk Up, your line is open. Okay, can you hear
me?
There you go.
Sorry.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So this is actually a callback to yesterday. So during the CrossFit Total, and this is for anyone who wants to answer it, usually your coaches are pretty well out of reach for athletes and don't do any actual on-the-floor coaching. But during the CrossFit Total, it was really one of the first times that you had the ability to be coached directly by your coaches. So I kind of want to know, how did that impact your strategy or performance?
Does anyone else want to talk, or I feel like I've been talking a lot? No, okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, so I mean, for me, it kind of brought me back to my weightlifting days. You know, throughout weightlifting, you have your coach there doing crunching all the numbers, and you know, focusing on what some of the other athletes are doing, so that you can obviously lift. You know, whether the coach was there or not, I don't think it really would have made a difference. When Shane, you know, trains and programs and coaches us throughout training and throughout the rest of the year, he preps us so well that we know what we're going to hit. We know what we need to do in order to execute our game plan. But having the coaches there, it was great. You know, they're there for the whole year of, you know, training and coaching and programming for us. Just having them there, experiencing the journey with us, is not only enjoyable for us, but it's also rewarding for them as well. It's like they get to be a part of that experience. And, you know, as an athlete and as a coach, that's so important. And I think that it's those memories that you will remember as well. And it's memories like that they will remember. So it's also a really great indication of our sport growing and constantly evolving, you know. So I think that was a really cool experience, and you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree with her. I was just gonna add that, like, it was really fun to have them around to kind of strategize, and like obviously I knew Tia and I were pretty close, so just kind of like, what do you think that I need to throw on the bar in order to try to go for the win? It was fun to have someone help strategize that, so you didn't have to like add all the numbers up in your head while you're trying to lift heavy. So that part was fun.
So I think we have time for one and maybe two more questions. I know there's a few people who have asked questions already. You'd like to ask a second one. Unfortunately, we may not have time to go through a second round. But Patrick Clark, good morning. Chalk Up, your line is open for a question. And if we have time for another one, we will take it.
Yeah, this question's for Haley. How you doing, Haley?
I'm good. How about you?
Not bad. Hey, talk about your day one experience and your recovery, and then your day two performance. Obviously, it wasn't what you wanted, the results wise, but talk about maybe how day one might have affected that, or what you're doing, you know, to recover tonight for tomorrow's.
Yeah, so after the trail run, I felt okay, and then it just kind of hit. I had some really bad stomach issues. We won't go too far into depth. Threw up a few times at home, and but yeah, so lost a few fluids, and this morning didn't feel too great. So kind of looked like a zombie, but then pulled it together, got some fluids, and then tried to end the day better. But it was a really, really hard day one.
Talk about day two then, your strategy going to day two.
Wait, what?
Can you talk about how that how what you plan on doing for day three then?
Oh, well, I'm in much better shape than I was last night. So I'm excited to go into the day feeling better than I did this morning and fuel up and actually be able to eat tonight.
All right. Thank you, Haley. Good luck.
All right, well, great. Thank you, everyone, for taking part in this event. There's going to be a quick switch over now while I believe the women hand off their studios, so to speak, to the men. And thanks to all the athletes for taking part today, and for the reporters who are attending as well as Mr. Castro.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'll also note, if you'd like to ask a question of the men and your hand is up, please leave it up and we'll take you first. Since I know we did not get through the beginning of the second round, and others, please raise your hands and we will go through as many folks as we can. Waiting for a couple of folks to join. Matt and Justin, your cameras are still off. Take your time, but. We'll wait for Noah to return, but I think we're good to go. Thank you all for joining. This is Andrew Weinstein again. And we have a large and curious group of reporters on the phone who have some questions for you. So we're going to start today with Sergio Sanchez from Hugo Cross, Brazil. And Sergio, your line should be open.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, my question is for Matthew Fraser. Fraser, there is a famous picture now of you in Brazil where you're showing the middle finger to Dave Castro after the first lap on the ranch loop. What was going on your mind when he said you had to go for a second round, a second loop?
Yeah, I mean that photo was just I thought it was a joke. I was the first one to come in, and it was just said so casually. You know, as soon as I crossed the finish line, and it was like, all right, now run it back. And I think every CrossFit coach has said that at one point or another when you do a 3-round workout and the person finishes, and it's like, all right, 4th round, let's go. And you're like, all right, yeah. And then, you know, he grabbed Justin and was like, no, seriously, go. And then he looked at me and was like, you're going to start losing if you don't go. And I went, oh, you're serious. And so then, you know, just pick up and start going. But yeah, that little moment, I thought he was joking. And so, you know, it was just a little playful banter back and forth.
Okay, thank you.
Great. The next question is from Tommy Marquez. Tommy, your line should be open.
All right. So this question is for Justin Medeiros and Jeff Adler. So after day 2, I guess you could say you've kind of had your baptism at the ranch, if you will. How has it been competing there for the first time? Any lessons that you've learned from your performances through the first couple of days, tackling what's considered hollowed ground for CrossFit so far?
Yeah, no, I can speak to that. I mean, this is my first time at the games, and it's a learning experience for me. I'm going out there for every workout and giving it my all, but I think there's some good takeaways I've had through each event. I mean, Jeff was able to sneak past me on one of the bill sprints to start the weekend, and left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, and something I'm never going to forget, and I'll remember that for a long time going forward. So yeah, I mean, there's something that you can take away from every event, and doesn't change the fact that I'm going to go out and attack the next one. So, yeah.
I guess for me, the ranch, like it feels every time we do a competition somewhere else, like the ones I know is Dubai, Mayhem, now the ranch, like they all have their special sceneries, and I always enjoy those. I do not like the hills here. That's one thing, but it's still part of the scenery here. And I like it. I mean, I like California. It's nice. And being at the ranch, I guess is something special. For some, it's more than others, but yeah, I enjoy it. It's nice.
Great. Next question is from Ben Garvez with Barbend. Ben, your line should be open. Ben, can you speak?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Headed right back to Matt. The bike repeater event, your finish there quickly became a fan favorite moment. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was when you started that event, you were clearly geared down lower than the rest of the field. Was there a decision-making process, or was that experiential where you just knew that that was the right gear for you to be in?
Matt, I think your mic's off. We're muted.
Sorry, your audio was a little choppy. You're talking about my gearing in the bike and rope climb event?
Yeah, you looked like you were geared just a little bit lower than anybody else.
Yeah. I don't know, that's just kind of where I felt good. You know, I was switching gears every lap or so. Some I would do in kind of a slower gear, some I would keep the cadence a little bit higher, you know, just keep that variation. You know, we play with that a lot. Not so much on the road bike or mountain bike, but we spend a lot of time on the Concept 2 bike erg. And it's not just, all right, hold this pace for this long. It's all right, hold this pace at this cadence. So, you know, you got to play with the damper, and, you know, the number one damper is super easy, but if you're holding 110 RPM, it gets tough. So, you know, we're always playing with different cycle rates. So that's just what felt natural for today.
Great, thank you. John Newby from CBS Interactive, your line should be open.
All right, thank you. So my question is for Noah. So you came into the weekend looking for redemption on the trail run, and you had a really strong performance despite Dave Castro's evil twist. How do you feel after your finish?
Thank you. Yeah, regarding specifically the trail run, I felt a bit of a sense of pride yesterday in being able to finish third. I know that doesn't sound amazing because we all want to win every event, but having finished the trail run in 2016 in 32nd place, it felt like a marked improvement. And the fact that it wasn't an easy third per se, that I had to battle it out with Jeff for almost an hour, and was able to come out on top was a good feeling. Like, I was happy that I was able to really dig in and earn those points there. So feeling good. Got to find the highs from this weekend where I can, because I haven't been too many of them just yet.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Over to Justin LaFranco with Morning Chalk Up.
Hey, this one's for Justin, Matt, everyone who was tuning in.
Try one more time, Justin. I think you're muted again. Try now.
Nothing. Justin? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we got you.
All right. So, Matt, this one's for Matt and Justin. Simple question. What were you guys talking about on the way back? Does it look like you guys might have been exchanging words a little bit?
I mean, once we found out we were going to be next to each other for another 30 minutes or so, we were just kind of just chatting. Like, hey, your leg's tired? Yep, mine too. Cool. Yeah, I mean, we're both trudging up a hill. You know, at that point, running wasn't very much of an option up the steep hills. So there are a couple points where, you know, I was telling, like, there are certain points where we could see for a long shot behind us. And so just kind of curious of, like, all right, how much of a buffer do we have with the guys behind us? I would hit my watch and I'm like, all right, man, hey, we got 2 minutes and 15 seconds on the guy behind us. So, like, just kind of like a comfort blanket of, like, all right, you know, it's not like we're going to get overtaken by everyone. But then I think we're probably two-thirds of the way through, and Justin was like, hey, man, like, if we get to the finish line and we're still next to each other, like, I'm not going to be chatting anymore. Like, we're going to be sprinting. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. All right, time to race.
If I may, Justin, to follow up on that, kind of what was from your perspective, you know, you're rookie on the scene, Matt Fraser's a veteran among veterans here. What was that experience like, just kind of being with him? I think maybe pushing him a little bit as well, and kind of describe that experience a little bit.
Yeah, man, it was really cool. I think it didn't have a lot on the first lap. We gave it my all. I was trying to push him the best I could. I know he was kind of pacing off me towards the last half of it and was waiting to make us push towards the end. Didn't stop me from giving my all and then finishing strong. But definitely with that surprise lap too, it was definitely a mental grind and also a physical grind. And being able to stick with him for a large part of that second lap was kind of like it was really easy mentally just because I was like, all right, if he's good at this pace, then I should be good at this pace. Like if he's comfortable with where we're at, then I should be comfortable where I'm at. Because I think if we were at a big separation, it would have been like, dude, am I going too fast right now? Am I going too slow? Are the people behind me going to catch me? But having him confident in the pace that he was keeping made me a lot more confident in the pace that I was keeping, and worked out really good.
Over to David Tao of Barbend. Your line should be open.
Hey, Sam, this question's actually for you. You came pretty hot out of the gate on Happy Star, and you were able to finish in second place on that workout, although it looked like you paid for it a little bit there at the end and were maybe feeling it. I see you took your shoes off and kind of hit the ground pretty quickly. What was your strategy on that workout, and were you able to kind of hold to the strategy that you had going into that piece?
Yeah, so for the most part, my strategy was kind of to push the uphill, knowing that I would be able to kind of cruise the downhill, and then try to catch my breath a little bit on the burpees and then just give her on the thrusters. So yeah, definitely paid for it. And I think me, Jeff, and Noah got to the last barbell around the same time. So just had to send it, and that hurt pretty bad.
Thanks.
Over to Ricardo Ascioli of Hugo Cross in Brazil. Your line should be open.
Hi everyone. This question is for Jeffrey Adler. I want to know, you had mentioned earlier that you plan to beat Fraser on the snatch event. What happened there? Did you just try to poke the bear?
So I knew I could. There was a chance I could. 285 is still like, my 1 rep max is 290, so 285 is right up there against my 1 rep max. So it's like, if I get it, I get it. I got to the bar and he missed the first, so I rushed my first rep a little bit just to try. It was like go or get it or don't. If I would have gotten that rep, it would have been very close, probably a foot race. But yeah, I mean, it's all in the execution, and if in these kinds of events, you have to be perfect, and I wasn't. So that's it.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Great. Over to Emily Beers with more.
Hi, this question is for everybody. I'm just curious how much you're all looking at the constantly changing leaderboard. Are you aware of where you're sitting after each event, and how many points you are behind the athlete ahead of you?
I personally keep up with the leaderboard throughout the weekend. I don't think that it changes much of my game plan or strategy going into each event, but I'm definitely aware of where I am, and it's been a really interesting weekend of the points being so close and so many shifts happening back and forth. And I would say, if anything, that just gives me a little bit of hope that tomorrow anything can happen as well. So you could be sitting all the way down at the bottom and have a few good events and work your way pretty close to the top.
Great. Over to John Newby of CBS Interactive again.
All right, thank you. So this question's for Justin. So going back to the handstand sprint, can you talk about coming up with that strategy where you pop down every few yards and pop right back up? Because obviously it worked out really well for you, but it was drastically different than some of your other competitors.
Yeah, it was definitely something different that I've tried. It wasn't anything that I planned out. It was kind of something that we came up with, me and my coach, right before the event. I feel like I'm pretty confident in my handstand walking, and I think every little bit helps. And we kind of did our homework and figured out that would be a good strategy to use. And checked with the standards and met the standards of the workout. So just kind of attacked it hard and owned my strategy and gave it my all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to Armin Hammer.
Yeah, this question is for Dave. I'm curious about your take on the programming so far, high points, low points, things you keep the same, do differently, looking at how the events have gone through with these athletes.
Yeah, that's a great question. So far, I'm really happy with the majority of it. You got to remember, I'm coming from a perspective that we've had so much time to be able to prepare for this weekend. And for the first time ever, we were able to do basically an entire games weekend 2 weeks ago with a group of athletes where we took them through the weekend in its entirety from Friday to Sunday. And so from that, you gather a lot of data. You see how these events flow and work. So I kind of knew what we were getting into. Obviously, at this level, once we're here, there's a lot on the line and the stakes are much higher and the intensity is higher than it was in the testing phase. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the events. The bike, I wish on the female side that the bike would have been a little closer. On the male side, I liked the race. I also, the grass slowed it down a tad more than I expected. I think it looked like they were kind of pedaling in slow motion at times, but it was still a great race, and I liked that event. But the weight on the snatch speed, pleased with that. And then the weight on this, what we just did here, the Happy Star, I actually, a lot of people were saying, hey, those loads are too light. You need to go heavier. You need to go heavier. I actually think at the end of the day, with the reps, with the run up the hill, we were able to nail the loads there. And that was, again, that one too. We had done multiple runs through it, experimented with a lot of different weights, a lot of different reps, and pleased with how it played out. I really liked that last one in terms of how much it shifted towards rounds 3 and 4. And what happened with these guys on round 4, that was a great outcome.
Great, thank you. Over to Joe Jenitin Palawa with Morning Chalk Up. Your line should be open.
Okay, thank you. Quick question here for Matt. On Thursday, there was a question in the press conference asking if anybody felt like an underdog, and you raised your hand. So we're 2 days in, heading into the last day. Do you still feel like an underdog?
Yeah, I always feel that way going into anything, the few days, the weeks before competition, that's when the insecurities are the loudest. I train scared all the time. I'm the guys I'm going against, they're super strong, super capable. I'm leading up to a competition. I'm imagining me having my worst day of competition. I'm picturing them having the best day that they've ever had. And, like showing up to the games, it almost sounds weird to hear that this is my 7th trip to the CrossFit Games. I'm always stuck in that mode of like, this is my rookie year. Last year was my rookie year. I always think I'm the newcomer. And I'm always looking at what other guys are doing. I'm always impressed by what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, I'm just always in the mindset of like, this is my first trip and everyone is super capable.
Thank you.
Great. Over to Phil Bleckman with Barbend. Your line is open.
Hey guys, thanks for taking questions while getting your meals in. In Sam's post Happy Star interview, he actually mentioned that he would be happy to see some pegboards tomorrow. And with Atalanta still being details unknown, I wanted to just go around the horn, starting with Jeff. If you guys could tell me if there's any event that you're looking to see in Atalanta.
I have no idea what's gonna pop in that workout, and to be frank, like I don't care. Like just as long as there's not so much running, I'd be happy with that. But we never know; we might run again. Other than that, I have no idea.
Noah, could I pop it over to you?
Sure. Same question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see how it is going to be as unique as it is promised to have been. That it's the hardest and most interesting workout that any of us have ever done. It's hard to imagine because, like Matt said, we've both been competing in the games for 7 years. And I think I read a statistic last night that said we've done 87 or 80 something total events at the games so far. So for this one to be the hardest and most unique, it's got to be something special. If there were anything that I hoped to see pop up, I mean, looking at my strengths, I enjoy pistols and other gymnastics movements. So if some of those were sprinkled in there, I would not be upset.
Thanks, man. Justin or Matt, if you guys want, I'll pass it over to you. Otherwise, I appreciate the time.
I've given up on the Dave Castro guessing game years ago. Whatever it is, it is.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the rules and we'll try to attack it as best we can.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say. I'm just watching Dave on the live cam right now, and he's just smiling and laughing. So I think it's going to be a fun one.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, I'll be over to Fabio Brocco with Hugo Cross in Brazil.
Hi, Justin Medeiros. So you said it's your first year at the games. We're approaching the last day, so I'd like to know if you could go back. I'd like to know if you do anything different from what you've done so far, considering like things that happened. So would you have done anything different from what you did?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, hindsight's always 2020. I don't think that my strategy or mindset going into any of those events was bad. I'm totally happy and content with how my performance went. I think I've put myself in a position in every workout to have a chance to compete, and I think that's all you can ask for. Definitely looking back, you can see like maybe in the CrossFit total, I mean, maybe if I made a 5-pound jump, I might have got 4th instead of 5th, but I didn't know that was going to play out. I put myself in a position at the end of that workout to be in a position to compete. And if I would have made my last lift, I would have done a lot better, but I can't be happy with, or I'm super pumped with how it played out. I've put myself in good positions throughout the weekend, and it's just time to execute.
Thank you.
Great. Patrick Clark with a Morning Chalk Up. Patrick, your line should be open.
Hi, Matt, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, this question's for Matt. Hey, great day two. Hey, can you discuss what happened with the calculations for that final deadlift and the CrossFit total?
Look at Jeffrey smiling over there. I think, it was rushed. You're trying to add up 3 odd numbers. We had the numbers, and then, I think there was a little confusion. Matt O'Keefe, the guy who has my coach's band, I think he had told me 5:45, and then something. There was just some disconnect, and it was 5:35 that I loaded. And I pulled it. It's so all 3 of my lifts were PRs, and obviously looking back, and it's like just a silly goof that cost me some points. But then looking back at it, if I knew I had to load, I think it was like 5:42 or 5:43 to win the event, I don't know if I would have. The most I had pulled this year in training, I think I pulled 5:10, and then I couldn't break 5:15 off the ground. So if someone came up and had told me the number I had to pull, I was like, that ain't happening, So I just wanted to make sure that I was in a secure second place. I think Jeff and I had a little fun banter back and forth prior. And he was like, "Yo, I'm taking this event," and I was like, "All right, I'll see what I can do to prevent that." But awesome performance on his end. That was a huge deadlift. So yeah, I took a second place. but I'm very pleased with the performance with a PR on every lift. You can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Great. Over to Kay Weiss with Morning Chalk Up. Okay, I'll get your name correct next time.
It's okay. Hey guys. So I asked this of the ladies, but I kind of wanted to know from the men's perspective. Usually your coaches are on the sidelines, not directly on the floor with you, but back to the CrossFit Total, they got to be on the floor with you this time. And so how did that impact your strategy and performance and how you attacked the different lifts?
I'll jump in on that. I gave my coach a handshake and a big thank you afterwards because having him there was vital to my being able to pull off a third place on that one. I needed a certain amount on the deadlift, and there were two guys that had to still go after me, and he said, well, go pull this and it'll put you just ahead of them. It'll put pressure on them to have to make a certain lift. So the most we can do is hit it, and it ended up working out in my favor. I think without having him there to run the numbers for me, I probably wouldn't have been able to do what I did. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed being able to communicate with my coach mid-event because that isn't something that we do get to do often.
Great. And over to Jessica Danger, Barbend. Jessica, you're on.
Hi. Thank you. Hi, this question is for Sam. Sam, I know that you have a history in cross country and that you were actively trying to hone in on your weightlifting skills as you prepared for the game. And I'm just kind of wondering how you feel about your performance thus far, particularly coming off of event 9.
What was event 9? The one we just did? I think so. Obviously, I've had some not great finishes and some good finishes. So I mean, the points are really close. So far, I'm happy with how I am, and I mean, we'll see how tomorrow goes.
Great. And last question goes to Justin LaFranco with Morning Chalk Up.
There we go. This one's for Matt and Noah because you guys have you've been in the game for so many years now, 7 competitions. I'm just kind of very curious on your assessment of this new sort of A, point format, and B, the intimacy format of just having 5 athletes at the game. So kind of the first time this has ever occurred before. We've gone from 40 to way more, several hundred last year, and now on down to 5. So just kind of curious what your assessment is on this kind of format.
I'll let Matt speak to the point format because that is playing way more into his favor than mine. But regarding the intimacy, I think it is really cool to be able to just have 5 of us out here competing. There was a little bit more camaraderie on the bus on the way back from the ranch last night. I feel like that was kind of just open conversation between everybody where we could be friendly and connect. Whereas oftentimes when there are so many guys, there end up being like little cliques of just 2 or 3 guys that are a little bit more friendly, and you don't get a chance to connect with guys that you normally wouldn't. So this time they're doing a great job of making each of the 5 of us feel very special with all of our own squares, equipments, trailers, this and that. And it's been cool to be able to interact with these 4 guys.
That's great.
Yeah, I have to agree with Noah on that. It's been a big, I think the big change of pace is just how, like, there's only 5 of us, so it's when we're all sitting on the bus, it's like we're all in the conversation together. When we're in the warm-up area, it's with coaches, there's only 10 of us. So that's been really fun. The point system, I think I've been through all the different scoring systems. I think when I first started my first regional, if you got first place, you got 1 point. If you got second place, you got 2 points. So I've been through several different scoring systems. I mean, been through competitions with 40 people, 150, now 5. It's like any other competition. Lay out the rules. I'll put together my attack plan, and then we'll try to execute. So, you know, however many competitors, whatever the scoring system is, it is what it is.
Thanks, guys.